Maria Montessori was an Italian physician and an educator whose work developed a lasting educational philosophy. Her method is still in use today in schools around the world.
Through her education, Montessori excelled in the sciences and mathematics and intended to pursue a career in one of these fields, though unusual for that time based on social norms. After graduation from Leonardo da Vinci's Royal Technical Institute, she decided to study medicine at the University of Rome. She graduated from the university in 1896 as a doctor of medicine.
Her early career consisted heavily of work with and research of phrenesthetic children, children with some form of mental retardation, illness, or disability. She began showing interest in pedagogy and education, and studied many of the major works on educational theory from the previous 2 centuries. She also took her studies in publishing internationally, becoming an advocate for women's rights and education for mentally disabled children.
Montessori became a well-known figure, speaking at conferences and universities, and was named counselor to the National League for the Protection of Retarded Children. Her opportunity to improve education for students with disabilities began in 1900 when she was assigned to be the co-director of an institute that trained teachers in special education. Many of her experimental methods proved successful, and she opened the Casa dei Bambini, or Children's House,
where she had a chance to apply her method to mentally normal children.
Montessori's methods, although used in typical classrooms around the world, were based in her successes in working with students with mental and learning disabilities.
Throughout her observations and experiences in this classroom, she implemented new practices, expanded the variety of activities, and redefined the materials in the classroom. Through this experimentation, she saw independence as the leading value in education, and the teacher's role was one of an observer and guide to the student's learning rather than being a direct instructor.
She found that hands-on and independent experience were much more effective means of instruction than direct teacher instruction.
The success of the first classroom sparked the international spread of Montessori's educational methods, and she led additional courses for training teachers in her method. The teaching method took off in the States in 1913. The first international training course was held in Rome and consisted of 83 students, 76 of whom were from the United States. By this point, there were over 100 Montessori schools in the country. She continued traveling and sharing her discoveries till late in her life. Twice she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize and won a variety of awards and honors.
Now back to the US. Montessori's method lost its popularity as quickly as it had expanded. Criticisms from influential educators, effects of World War I, and language barriers soon extinguished the educational movement, and Montessori schools became scarce in the country. It wasn't until the late 1960s that the movement revived and Montessori methods began to spread through the schools once again.
Currently, there are over 4,000 Montessori schools scattered across the United States. A majority of these schools are privately owned, but programs are being implemented into the public school system. The Montessori classroom is structured to accommodate students' choices. There are designated places for group interaction as well as individual work. Materials for each subject, such as math or language arts, are located in their own section. The room is designed for students to have freedom in choosing activities that will engage them in learning, and all of the materials that help solve problems or have the answers are provided in the classroom.
This classroom, ironically, somewhat resembles the setup of a Montessori classroom. There is open space for activity where students can work on the floor or a table. There is a wide variety of materials with which students can interact, and everything on the wall has something to do with education. There are no cartoon posters that just take up space. It is a highly intentional environment. Montessori's methods do have some downsides, though.
The Montessori method has been really successful over time, but nowadays it, in some places, has fallen into disfavor because it's extra work for the teacher, and a lot of times the flexibility doesn't give the test scores or the rigid hard data that school districts would like to see coming from their early childhood classrooms.
Montessori's methods are very effective for students of all ages. They inspire independence, concentration, order, freedom, self-assessment, and a desire for knowledge. It is amazing to think that this extremely influential and effective pedagogical philosophy was developed over an entire century ago. Maria Montessori's influence of education is still alive today and continues to expand through American schools. This book of methods, compiled by one person alone, must be followed by many others. It is my hope that starting from the individual study of the child educated with our method, other educators will set forth the results of their experiments. These are the pedagogical books which await us in the future. Maria Montessori.